All right, folks, welcome back. Taylor Cottano here with the Healthcare Collective, a podcast where we are bringing you the experts in healthcare with all the updated evidence-based practice, things that can help you take your clinic, hospital, facility to the next level. And, man, got my guys here today, Tyler and Joseph. Guys, thank y'all so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
These guys with Fuse Media, and today really what we want to touch base on is marketing. It is a stigma, I think, in the healthcare world, and we always talk about, when you were a kid, how your parents were like, don't get too much attention, don't stand out, but today's world is all about, if you're in business, if you have a service offering, getting out of obscurity. And I know that there are so many things when it comes to marketing that people believe, oh, well, I think I'm doing it right. Am I pushing this out? What is a like a boost post? But today we're here to answer those questions. So guys, thank y'all for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate you.
So we're in their studio in Lafayette today. So I want y'all to just introduce yourselves, kind of where you got started, what you do, and we can start from there.
Sounds good.
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Joseph Thibeaux. What we do overall started in healthcare probably about 10 years ago, plus years ago at this point, almost a decade or more.
Yeah.
Working for Oceans Healthcare, had the opportunity to be able to work really close with the development of the first hospital and the venture capital that they went through there.
And he owns multiple businesses. I mean, and we just had an awesome lunch talking about some of the things these guys are doing. But no, I got some good questions for you.
All right, we'll get it.
Yeah. So Tyler Hebert, again, with Fuse Media. So Joe and I's journey started, 10 plus years ago. And it was serendipity. I just happened to be playing softball. We were in the outfield together. I was graduating college, and he kind of brought me into the fold. That escalated from there. He trained me on how to become a marketer. Eventually, that led to us both working for the corporate office, and then we trained an entire fleet of salespeople throughout the entire state of Louisiana. And so that model specifically was B2B. So how to develop a relationship with a physician, a hospital, a nursing home, understanding their business and how to create value. Mm-hmm. So I'd say fast forward a couple years, we sold, Ocean sold to venture capital for the second time. So it allowed me to get out on my own and sort of join the ranks with Joe instead of just freelance. And now we're at a point where we want to take all of the experiences that we've accumulated over the years and tell those stories, right? There's a lot of heartfelt things that come up that we've been able to solve problems for, not just for medical practices, but for actual patients. And so we'll kind of unpack some of those methods, and we'll talk about the digital age and how to create a name and a brand for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, and I'll just say, whenever I met these guys, it's so rare that you meet folks in the same industry, especially when you're in compliance. We work in the regs, some very tedious things, but these guys have worked in that. But learning what you did in the production side, some of the commercials you're doing, some of the clients that you're working with, seeing how you've built those businesses and how important marketing played. I think for the folks out there that are in healthcare, what is marketing in healthcare right now? What does that look like?
So overall, for marketing in healthcare, it's a digital world.
Yeah.
Whenever we first got started and started doing this, the biggest thing was opportunity and being innovative. And we seen, this is before Facebook, right? Sure. Facebook and all these other digital platforms are coming in, and we got to a point to where, man, what if we could do that? Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, it was, it's HIPAA and people's information, and it was all new because nobody knew what was happening. Mm-hmm. Right now, if you're not doing anything digital, then you're not reaching the people at this point. 70% or even more than 70% of people, when they go to look up a company, even in healthcare, they're looking on either their Facebook page or their website.
Yep.
And back in whenever it first started, or we first started, that wasn't a thing. Mm-hmm. So at this point, if you're not telling your story online and you're not doing that, then you're only capturing what you can reach. And word of mouth is a great way to be able to get marketing opportunities, but it's not the best way to be able to grow a practice, a hospital, a clinic, whatever that may be that you're working in currently.
Yeah, it's so funny. You remind me of a story. We actually, Caleb and I had dinner with somebody the other night, and they were talking about how back in their generation, the newspaper was everything. And they were like, Back then, you could have posted something. Even like I think a husband was mad at a wife, or no, a wife was mad at a husband. They posted in the newspaper. Everybody in town was freaking out, and they're like, that was where everybody knew it. And I mean, it went everywhere. Today, you know, you got to think about where the eyeballs are. So, like you said, is if you're stuck in the old style, online is something that, you know, I believe is so important.
Yeah.
30 times a day
Yeah.
is the minimum that somebody grabs that phone, clicks a social media app, and then either searches for something or starts to consume.
Mm-hmm.
So take that with the frequency that you see a billboard.
Yep.
I haven't had cable, I think, since 2010.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're in that's 13 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So we're either streaming Hulu, YouTube. All my kids, I have an 18-year-old, 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old. They don't want anything to do with traditional TV. What's a commercial?
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things to where, you know, when we work with new providers or folks just getting into healthcare, just starting their businesses, we focus on this thing about like, look, you need to get out of obscurity. Like there may be a certain amount of people that know about you, but they're not actively looking for you starting this new business or doing that. So tell me this. I know we get the question all the time. About like what are things that I need to focus on like when I'm starting up? Is it a Facebook post? Is it a blog? Is a website really that important these days? Talk to us about that.
Go ahead. I'll let
Yeah.
you start.
So for me, the way I think of it is everybody needs a website in order to kind of declare ultimately who they are. Once you have that website, then the SEO part comes in, search engine optimization. You have to and want to be ranked number one, whether that's just your website or a combination of all your socials. That's what's ideal. People should know you before they even walk in your door.
Yeah.
Who you are, what you're about, what problems do you solve. You know, we're no longer in an age where people are avoiding their health.
Sure.
So if we can encourage them to participate in their own healthcare in an active way, in an educational way, we can interact with them on the website, we can interact with them on social, but you have to put yourself out there and become a leader. Otherwise, you are not a subject matter expert.
Yeah.
That term is vastly different. Used to be, if you're a physician, you are the ultimate authority in regards to knowledge. Now we live at a time where you could log on to ChatGPT and ask it a legit medical question and get a legitimate answer.
Yeah. No, it's so true.
And piggybacking a little bit on what Tyler's saying is that all physicians are not created equal.
Yeah.
And all markets are not created equal.
Yeah.
That's right.
So knowing what you're targeting and who you're targeting is the most important thing when you're starting out. Like, what is my target market? Who is my audience? And then from there, what story do you want them to tell?
Yeah.
What social media does more than anything, and what we try to get our clients to understand, is that it allows you to be able to do something like you've never done before. You can create your own community.
Yeah.
Inside of your practice or inside of your Facebook group or inside of your LinkedIn group. So now you only speak to the people who speak the same language as you.
Yeah.
So if I am a doctor and I do ortho, I can speak to people who need that at this point in time. Or I specialize in heart disease, then you can speak to those people who need that at this point in time. And then you surround yourself with those people and they come in to seek you out. So now I've created a group of people who are only looking for what I provide, and then now I can speak to them consistently at all times. And that's never been done before.
No.
Ever.
Yeah, and I think, you know, case in point was during COVID, you know, we've been trying to do education across the board, and we put things out, but it was so funny that during COVID, Facebook posts had some of the biggest impacts on statistics. Whereas you could say, did y'all see that meme that talked about flu vaccines? Everybody knew about it,
Yep.
you know? But how powerful is that? But it was because it was in front of their eyeballs that they saw it. So, like, you know, what you were saying is, you know, putting that out there, not only just to get known, but to educate. I mean, establishing yourself as that authority where, you know, we're in the information, you know, generation right now to where I've got access, but if I have someone to turn to when I have a question, that I can trust, I mean, I feel like that's one of the biggest things.
Correct.
Yeah, and as a new provider, you're building trust.
Correct.
They may know you from a connection, but you still got to say, hey, look, you know, we're going to answer your question. We're going to get you the right care. We're going to take care of your family.
Yeah.
A lot of Louisiana is rural. So talk to me about that. I know a lot of folks think that they can't do the big production or anything like that,
Right.
which, you know, today we're in a studio. This is beautiful. The everything looks good. Talk to us about that. I mean, let me ask you: would you say it's better to put content out regularly or get perfect picture, perfect sound? What would you say on that end?
You just got to get it out there.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, everyone has access to a phone.
Yeah.
I brought this up with my kids the other day. I said, I don't have any high school video of me playing sports. They would love to see it, but I'd have to go shake somebody down in high school, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Fast forward, everybody and their mom has a cell phone. So you see, it's common practice to see practices doing TikTok dances and all the fun. And that's cute and that's fun, and it'll get you a ton of likes.
Yep.
But the substance that comes after that is really what matters. I do have compassion for you as a patient. Matter of fact, let me tell you a story about how compassionate I am based on this experience that I've had with this patient. What a beautiful sentiment. I would be 10 times more likely to bring my kid to that pediatrician or that pediatric doctor, or even my mom, right, who's in her late 60s. So mom's not going to be healthy forever. I have to understand that I'm going to make decisions for her someday. Who's out there that helps to take care of these problems?
Oh yeah.
So some content is better than no content at all times.
Yeah.
Another thing I say, it doesn't matter how big your budget is in that sense, allocate something towards it and say, hey, this is dedicated for me to be able to tell my story. This is dedicated for my practice to be able to grow. Let people know what you're doing. If it's, yeah, I can't have all the flashy lights and cameras and all that, but I still can have a smaller budget. I can still get my message across, and it may be tailored to the people that you're looking for in your city, in your town, or in your rural area.
Yeah.
So start somewhere.
Absolutely. And I think invoking emotions, whenever I say Sarah McLachlan in the eyes of an angel, everybody saw that. Everybody remembers that.
Yeah.
And it evoked that emotion. I think what I've seen in some of the biggest healthcare organizations is they tell stories about real people. And whenever you see a real story, it evokes that emotion. And that facility, they're talking about what they did, what they felt, and they had a great experience. That being told immediately can go across hundreds, thousands, rather than that person going one by one telling that story. It would take forever to get out there. So I think about economy of scale whenever, how many people can see this. I mean, that's where it's at. Okay, putting it out there is a big thing. But let's say I'm advanced. I'm doing some marketing. I'm putting it out there. Whenever you get to like that next level where you're comfortable putting content out and you've got a regular schedule, what would you say the next most important thing is? Is it like visual quality? Is it about where you're doing? Like what is like the next most important thing?
So it's targeting who sees it.
Okay.
Where do these people hang out online? So there are many different ways to deliver this. Okay. You can put it out on regular TV. In this day and age, it's just as cheap to use your ads with Hulu.
Yeah.
So you can have a call to action with a barcode scan just for your small business. You could do that during a Super Bowl ad.
Sure.
And it would be not $1 million.
Oh yeah.
Like let's say $5,000. Would you spend
okay.
$5,000 to get your stuff on Hulu? Of course you would. You're reaching different demographics in real time, and you actually get real-time analytics.
Yeah.
On the Facebook side, you can actually be very surgical, right? It's almost like you got a little scalpel. I want 18 to 35 patients that are suffering with ADHD, and this is what I treat. And in addition to that, I have a therapist that's with me in this office. That's just a hypothetical scenario.
You can drill down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can be specific and say, if you go to this website, you can book an appointment today.
Dang.
So
like immediate call to action right there that they can go and be seen.
But if your availability calendar is not on your website, I'm gonna go find someone who is.
Yeah. And we always talk about how patients are not patient. They're consumers nowadays.
That's right.
And they're going out there looking for the best deal where, before it was I want to go see my regular doctor. Now it's just like, who's the quickest? I'm going to call them. They're busy. I'm going to the next one.
Yeah.
So, I could see why that's such a big thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Next step is availability in that sense, but also when you look at, hey, what do I want to target?
Sure.
Yeah.
And where am I growing overall as a facility? Yeah. So when you start to say, hey, I have all the bells and whistles, what do I do? What data am I getting back? So I'm not sure what study it was, but it was something that I read that data would, at one day in our age, right, hopefully I live to see it, will be more valuable than the dollar. Because I can do so much more to be more efficient and effective if I know if I'm reaching people in this certain area. Let's say for a hospital instance, that I am running ads and I can see I am doing something in Scott.
Yeah.
Well, I can let my marketing team know, hey, we have a big presence in Scott. Let's go ahead and increase our hits, our frequency of we're visiting people there because we know there's a need in that market. So that's the next step in that sense. You start to attract the data, utilize that data to be more efficient in your day-to-day operations, allowing you to create more revenue.
Okay, so I mean, but what I'm hearing in this is like it's not blind sending stuff out there. It's actually tracking what's working.
That's right.
With
Plan.
yeah, and I mean, I feel like that's so important for us because, like, for example, in our line of work is we're writing this antibiotic. Is the antibiotic effective? We're tracking to see if it's effective. If it's not, we got to make a change. Same thing I feel like right here is like, okay, say you go in this area and you get no pickup. Why would you keep throwing it in that area?
That's
so,
correct.
Right.
so really, you have to be intentional about not just putting it out there when you get to that level, like looking at doing that.
Yeah.
Now, do you see like when y'all incur or take on clients, do y'all see that being as a main problem? Like they're not tracking anything, or
The main problem is confidence.
Confidence.
Half the time, it's
Dang.
it's knowing my self-worth,
Okay.
thinking that I'm good enough to go and become a thought content leader on this particular subject. Once you get them on camera, it's like they're a duck on water.
Yeah.
But until that happens, until they can see, and I think that's kind of the unique thing that we bring to the table is our discovery process, what makes you special and different in the market, and then giving you, in some cases, a 10-page document that would encompass up to about 12 months worth of planning. So you can see within 12 months, I have these types of clients.
Okay.
Let's pick 6. There's 6 types of clients, and I would like to model for them the behavior that would allow for them to get the best outcome out of me.
Gotcha.
Right? So if I do that, and these folks do show up, now it's my time to shine, provide that care. But until I do that, I'll just have anybody and everyone showing up if I'm lucky. Oh, what the biggest deciding factor of who my doctor is? Are they in network with Blue Cross?
Yeah.
Are they in network with UHC? Okay. And the second that you're not, they're probably making a change.
Yeah.
Unless you created enough value in their life and they care and they know that you care about them.
Yeah.
Until then, you're just another insurance provider.
Yeah, and I'm here to say I think everybody struggles with imposter syndrome at some point.
Sure.
I know you probably out there have said like, I'm not qualified to do this, or who am I to think that I can put this out there, or what are people going to say about me? I think what we've realized is there's so many people in this world that need what you have to offer. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. Somebody's going to need that.
That's right.
But like you said, is if you can show them, and I'm gonna bring COVID back up, it was the people who were most confident were the ones with a plan.
Absolutely.
You don't go into war without you don't just send your soldiers out there. You got to have a plan to do this. So no, that's spot on. Is to build that confidence, knowing what the next step is.
Yeah.
I see that big time.
This is what we consider talking head content, right?
Yeah.
So when you're talking head, you can divide that content, like big chunks of content, and then parcel it out on YouTube, parcel it out in Shorts, Instagram. And this way you're kind of developing a small relationship, and then they go find your big content. They're going to be twice as more likely to go listen to your long format podcast because you put the effort to go meet them in a small way within 7-8 seconds.
Gotcha.
And it's provided through education.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So once you find out at clinic, hey doc, where are you getting most of your patients from? I don't know. Why don't you know?
Yeah.
And this, just think about it, and we look how fast even our sports have changed. Why you think the athletes are getting stronger, faster, smarter? It's because of the information that they have from the previous ones before, what they're currently doing.
Yeah.
Why should healthcare be any different? So as a doctor, you should know where you're getting your patients from. You should know what's your highest payer source when I'm talking about what are you treating? And a lot of physicians don't know that. A lot of hospitals still don't know that unless they have the bigger budgets.
Yeah.
But it's something you can utilize to compete with those bigger players or even larger markets, because now you're being more strategic in your plan and what you're doing to be able to accomplish your overall goals. So education of the staff, but also education if there is a marketing department, and then training them consistently allows that imposter syndrome to be kind of make you feel at ease about it, because I have something that proves where I'm going and what I'm doing is needed.
Yeah, and I think, the old school boots on the ground deal, I mean, you've got to have a balance. We were talking about it at lunch, how, let's just say you have no digital strategy. You pull one of those people off the ground and you really focus on getting your presence to where those folks are. I think, if you're staying in the past, you're gonna miss out. And if you're resistant to change, it's just unfortunate. I mean, we've seen it with some of our clients that are just like, I ain't worried about that. I'm not gonna do that. Even with whenever provider order entry came out, they were like, I ain't gonna do it. Now they're getting 5%, 4%, whatever it is, taken off their bill, and it's just because they didn't want to change.
Right.
I feel like even recruiting these days. Not only putting your service, recruiting, education, all of that stuff, you've got to put the effort in to be where people are.
Yes.
With COVID and the way things happen, since you mentioned recruiting, if you're not telling people where they're coming to work, why are they coming to work there?
Yeah.
People are really looking for what stories these bigger, or even all companies are saying about how it is to work at their hospital or at their facility, and it's like, okay, I want to go work there. You know why? Because I seen Tyler in this video and he told me how great it was and why it felt it was important to him. We resonate in the same way. So if you're not telling those stories, especially how hard it is to be able to hire people in this climate, then I feel sorry for you in this sense. You'll continue to struggle. Like you said, you stay in the past.
Yeah, and newsflash, pizza parties and signs in the front of your facility are not working. I'm gonna just straight up say it. Whenever it comes to or the new generation coming out, I talk to a lot of new nurses. The thing is they're looking at what's in it for me. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's where we are. How do you compete in that? Is you show them the value. How do you do that best? Through examples, through testimonials, through new programs. I mean, everybody wants to be a part of a winning team. And if you can show them that you're winning, most of the time, you can pull them into the team, then show them their path.
That's right.
So I think it's such a missed opportunity for recruiting, just showcasing what you have. And I'll talk about this, and I think it's a big piece, but what's y'all's thoughts on, I call it bragging. There's a lot of people out there that are doing some good stuff.
Sure.
And they're not letting anybody know about that.
Right.
Do y'all feel like that is just a missed opportunity?
I can tell you this. If you don't tell people what's special about you, I mean, think about this, right? You go on a date. I go on dates with my wife all the time, and it's a different dynamic than the first one, right? The first one, I want to know everything about her. Then I'm going to fully, expand on who I am. But unless I do that, I'm not getting to the third date.
Oh, yeah.
We all know what happens on the third date, the good stuff, right? And we can't get to the good stuff without being curious about people and without fully being vulnerable and transparent. The thing that I've learned that these relationships are very much like a loving marriage, a loving relationship. It's attitude and effort. So if I'm not going to put the effort to fully tell you what it is that I have to offer, I'm selling myself short and I'm doing you a disservice in the same way.
I believe you. Caleb, what was the book you told me that we're reading? It's Unreasonable Hospitality. And they talk about how so bizarre it is in today's world. Like, let's just say, my wife went to a store the other day. I think she was picking some stuff up, and she was like, somebody held the door for me today. And I was like, in my mind, it's like, that's what you do as a gentleman. But to her, it made such an impact. And I think that people aren't desensitized to just going the extra mile. I think, the more hospitable, the better relationship you can build, the more personal you can get. I think that goes a long way when it comes to building those, what do they call them? Wayne Mullen calls them, not followers, but just disciples. Those people who are just talking about your organization, so thankful for your organization, preaching you on the highest mountain about what you're doing so great. And at that point, you got social working, you got that working, shoot, man. It's hard to miss.
That was the success of the company that we worked for prior.
Yeah.
The customer service and the approach that we had to making people feel that we were an extension of them and we were there to serve them regardless of what the situation was.
Yeah.
That's what made the company special. Yeah. It's just people think that you can't do that online, but you can.
Yeah.
And it's telling the right stories and letting people know that I care about you, I care about your family, come work here and this is why.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. Gary Vee tells this story. I told it the other day when we were at dinner. It's right when he was starting his company. He's working this online wine bar that people are ordering. Had a guy that came in and he ordered like $3,000 worth of really nice wine, really nice champagne. And he called his assistant. He's like, "Hey, look, do some research on this guy. Let's get him something nice." So they found out he was a huge what's that guy's name? Trying to remember. The guy who used to be quarterback for the Broncos.
John Elway.
Jay Cutler.
Okay.
Jay Cutler.
Oh,
Gotcha.
Jay Cutler. So what they did, they bought a Jay Cutler helmet signed, sent it to this guy. And he's like, "Oh, this is about to be huge." A month goes by, nothing. He's like, "Yeah, okay, you got the postage right?
Uh-huh.
Like, did you send it to the right guy?" It's like, okay. Goes by, another 2 weeks go by. He's like, "There's no way I could have sent this to a guy." And he just totally
Nothing.
ignores it.
2
months goes by, and he's just like, "I've just given up hope on humanity." That day, he gets an order for it was the most random stuff. It was like $5,000 worth of champagne, $3,000 worth of this. And I'm probably exaggerating on the story, but in the note, it said, "Hey, my buddy told me about what you did. I'm a huge Eagles fan."
I've heard that. That's awesome.
Just right there is like every time that you do this, don't expect immediate result. You never know when it may hit,
Correct.
but every little piece of customer service, every little piece of marketing, I feel like has a compounding effect.
And I'll tell you this, how many times in a hospital setting does a patient outcome dictate the way policy is written?
Yep.
Almost 100% of the time.
Yep.
This incident happened, we made this adjustment. The patient may never know it, right? But it's important for I think all of us in healthcare to say, hey, patients, guess what? People do care about you. There's policies that have been written that should probably be named after you because we do care about people and we're held accountable to that.
Oh, yeah.
So why wouldn't we share that? You don't have to be specific about the name, but tell your stories. They're love stories.
Yeah, it's true. It is the truth. So, okay, guys, I know, we talked about a lot today. I feel like, whenever you're getting confidence, just putting stuff out there. When you take it to the next level, really tracking data. That's really important. And then, when you're moving up, really moving the needle on customer service, doing the extra, taking that extra step to make sure. And like you said, is talking about the changes you're making based off of what you're doing.
Right.
So, with clients and with folks who are listening to this, how do they get started on something like that? Talk about like what your firm does for those kind of folks.
Yeah.
So we initially go in and kind of do a discovery process.
Sure.
And we just want to see what you're doing.
Okay.
It's not, we want to be tailored to the business that we're working with in the sense that we're just not going to come in and throw all these policies and what you should be doing onto you. We want to see what are you doing well and what opportunities to be innovative that we can provide for you.
Gotcha.
From there, then we start to try to get your staff, depending on what you want to buy into this digital model. There's so many more people you can reach and still provide that customer service and extra line or extra service line, what I like to say, by just doing emails too.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you can provide thank yous via email. You can provide anniversary dates, all type of different things that we've seen once we get started in a facility. So once we do that, we kind of acclimate the culture.
Yeah.
Like this is a new culture. Some facilities allow you to use your phone, some of them don't. After we get into that realm, we start to say, okay, where do you guys want to go? Who's your target market?
Gotcha.
Who's your audience? And we help to cultivate and build that audience. If we're doing just video for that person, then great. We start to tell that story and we start to find the key people in the organization. And a key person in the organization, believe it or not, could be the person who's changing out the trash cans.
True.
Because they'll have the best stories of what's happening or seeing everything because they're looking at the facility on all levels.
Oh, yeah.
So finding out who can tell the story or what patients may be willing to talk about it is another good thing. So the interview process.
Yeah.
From there, putting in processes that we can track data, track information. If we're training staff and actually going into more of a deep dive into a facility,
Yeah.
then we want to make sure that we're doing that to be able to increase revenue. So that strategic plan is the next step for all of this to happen. And then we follow those pillars all the way through as we continue our relationship with the clients.
Gotcha. And I feel like what you're saying is it could be big or small. I mean, it
could be
doesn't
big or
matter if it's a huge organization or if it's just a small clinic. So like there's no like one size fits all. It's all, it could be as big or as small. I mean, anything's possible in that end.
Yeah.
That's great.
Let me know we're going to uncover your identity.
Yep.
We're going to forge a plan to make that identity come alive. And then, marketing is testing.
Mm-hmm.
We want to see what your audience has to say and then give them more of that and take away the stuff that they could do without.
Yep.
If we just consistently do this, unpack this process, life is good, your patients get what they want, and your organization is going to thrive. And you can grow.
Gotcha. So look, I mean, it's if you single provider, you can do this. If you are just starting a clinic, you can do this. If you have been on Facebook, on social media, and you're putting out video, you can do this. If you're a large hospital system and you're looking for another option, there's always other options you can do this. Where can people find y'all?
Yeah.
So you can find us on our website.
Okay.
Which is, and we can put a link maybe to the
Yeah, that'd
thing
be
for people to do
perfect.
that. But you can also email us, which
Okay.
we can provide our email information,
Excellent.
or even on social media.
Yeah.
So we can provide all those links for people to be able to find us. If you need consultation, if you want to do a discovery, if you just want to see, hey, am I doing this the right way? Feel free to reach out to us. People reach out to us all the time just to be able to ask questions.
No, perfect.
Yep. Tyler Hebert on LinkedIn.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
And look, I know we're going to be doing some work with these guys. I look forward to working with y'all in the future. But again, I mean, marketing is such a crucial piece. Get with an expert. These guys are experts. We appreciate y'all's time, sharing everything.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
No, thank y'all so much. But again, Taylor Cottano, the Healthcare Collective, where every month, week, day, I don't know, whatever it may be, we're bringing you the industry experts that are telling you the tips, tricks, and the things to take your organization to the next level. So until then, we'll see ya. Thank y'all.
Thank you.